Picture this. Two people make the exact same salary, live in the same city, and have the same expenses. But one becomes a millionaire while the other lives paycheck to paycheck their entire life. What's the difference? It's not intelligence, luck, or even education. It's something far more powerful, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. Welcome back to the channel. If you're someone who's ever wondered why smart people make terrible financial decisions, or why your relationship with money feels so complicated, then you're in for a treat. Today, we're breaking down The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, a book that's completely revolutionizing how we think about wealth building and money mindset. This isn't your typical personal finance tips video. We're going deep into the psychological forces that drive every financial decision you make. And by the end of this summary, you'll understand why building wealth has less to do with math and everything to do with behavior. So grab your notebook, hit that like button if you're ready to transform your money mindset. And let's dive in. Author background. Before we jump into this incredible book, let's talk about who Morgan Housel is and why you should listen to him. Housel isn't just another finance guru. He's a partner at the Collaborative Fund, a former Wall Street Journal columnist, and someone who's spent over a decade studying behavioral finance and market psychology. What makes Housel unique is his ability to combine storytelling with financial wisdom. He's not interested in complex formulas or get-rich-quick schemes. Instead, he focuses on the timeless principles of human behavior that determine financial success. His work has been featured everywhere from the New York Times to Harvard Business Review, and The Psychology of Money became an instant bestseller for one simple reason. It explains money in a way that actually makes sense to real people. Chapter 1. No One's Crazy. The book opens with a mind-blowing insight that sets the tone for everything else. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.0000001% of what's happened in the world, but they account for 80% of how you think the world works. Think about it. If you grew up during the Great Depression, you'd probably be incredibly conservative with money. If you came of age during the dot-com boom, you might be more willing to take risks. Neither approach is right or wrong, but they're both shaped by personal experience rather than objective analysis. Housel tells the story of two investors, one who lived through hyperinflation and another who experienced decades of steady growth. Their investment strategies were completely different, but both made perfect sense given their personal histories. This is why your parents might seem crazy with money, and why financial advice that worked for your friend might feel completely wrong for you. The key takeaway? Before judging anyone's financial decisions, including your own, understand the experiences that shaped them. Chapter 2. Luck and Risk. Here's where things get uncomfortable. Housel argues that luck and risk are two sides of the same coin, and they play a much bigger role in financial outcomes than we'd like to admit. He shares the story of Bill Gates, whose incredible success was partly due to being one of the few students with access to a computer in high school. But here's the twist. Gates' classmate Kent Evans was equally smart and passionate about computers, but he died in a mountaineering accident before he could change the world. The lesson isn't that success is random, but that we need to be humble about the role of luck in our own financial journey. This means not getting overconfident when things go well, and not being too hard on yourself when things go wrong. For your money mindset, this translates to save like a pessimist, invest like an optimist, plan for bad luck while hoping for good luck. Chapter 3. Never Enough. This chapter tackles one of the most destructive forces in personal finance, the moving goalpost of enough. Housel shares stories of incredibly wealthy people who risked everything because they couldn't accept that they had enough. The most powerful example is Rajat Gupta, a former Goldman Sachs board member worth over $100 million who engaged in insider trading. Why? Because he was comparing himself to billionaires and felt poor by comparison. The psychology here is crucial. The hardest financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving. Social comparison will make you miserable and lead to terrible financial decisions. Here's the practical application. Define what enough means for you before you start chasing wealth. Write it down. Review it regularly. Because without a clear target, you'll keep moving the goalpost until you've lost everything trying to reach an impossible destination. Chapter 4. Confounding compounding. Most people understand compound interest conceptually, but they don't truly grasp its power because they focus on the wrong things. Housel uses Warren Buffett as the perfect example. Here's a shocking fact. Warren Buffett made 99.5% of his wealth after his 50th birthday. Not because he got better at investing, but because he had more time for compound interest to work its magic. If Buffett had started investing at 30 instead of 10, or if he had retired at 60 instead of continuing to invest, he'd be worth a fraction of his current wealth. The secret wasn't superior returns, it was time. This completely reframes how you should think about wealth building. Instead of trying to find the next big investment or the perfect timing strategy, focus on 1. Starting early, 2. Being patient, 3. Not interrupting the process. The most powerful wealth-building tool isn't a hot stock tip or a real estate strategy, it's time. And time is available to everyone, regardless of income level. Chapter 5. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. This might be the most important chapter in the entire book. Getting wealthy requires taking risks and being optimistic. Staying wealthy requires the opposite, paranoia and humility. Housel explains that these require different skill sets. Getting wealthy is about offense, taking calculated risks, being aggressive, and betting on yourself. Staying wealthy is about defense, protecting what you have, planning for disasters, and accepting that you might be wrong. The practical application is huge. Once you start accumulating wealth, your strategy needs to change. You should. 1. Always assume you'll need money sooner than expected. 2. Plan like an immortal. You might live longer than you think. 3. Have room for error in every financial decision. 4. Be paranoid about debt and overconfidence. Many people who successfully build wealth end up losing it because they keep using wealth-building strategies when they should switch to wealth preservation strategies. Chapter 6. The Man in the Car Paradox. Here's a brilliant insight about status and spending. When you see someone driving a Ferrari, you probably think, wow, that person must be rich and successful. But what you're really thinking is, if I had that car, people would think I'm rich and successful. The paradox is that people don't think about the owner of the Ferrari. They think about themselves owning the Ferrari. So if you buy expensive things to be admired, you're wasting your money because people won't admire you. They'll just think about themselves. This insight can save you thousands of dollars on status purchases. Instead of buying things to impress others, focus on building actual wealth, which creates real options and freedom in your life. Key insights and lessons. Let me break down the top 10 actionable takeaways from the psychology of money. 1. Wealth versus income. Rich people have high incomes. Wealthy people have assets. The goal should be building wealth, not looking wealthy. This means living below your means and investing the difference. 2. The power of savings rate. Your savings rate is more important than your investment returns. Someone who saves 20% of their income with average returns will outperform someone who saves 5% with great returns. 3. Reasonable versus rational. Don't aim to be perfectly rational with money. Aim to be reasonable. A reasonable decision is one you can stick with during stressful times. This might mean keeping more cash than optimal or avoiding certain investments that make you lose sleep. 4. Time horizon is everything. Long-term investing isn't just about holding investments for a long time. It's about having the psychological ability to not panic during short-term volatility. 5. Room for error always has a buffer. Whether it's an emergency fund, insurance, or conservative debt levels, room for error is what separates those who survive financial storms from those who don't. 6. Tail events drive everything. A small number of events account for the majority of outcomes. In investing, your best and worst days determine your long-term returns. In careers, a few key decisions shape your entire trajectory. 7. Freedom is the ultimate goal. The highest dividend money pays is the freedom to control your time. This should be the ultimate goal of any financial strategy. 8. Define your game. Don't take financial advice from people playing a different game than you. A day trader and a retirement saver have completely different goals, time frames, and optimal strategies. 9. Expectations matter more than results. Happiness equals results minus expectations. Managing your expectations is often more important than trying to achieve extraordinary results. 10. Nothing is free. Volatility is the price of admission for long-term investment returns. Accept it and plan for it, rather than trying to avoid it. Let me give you some practical examples of how these principles play out in real life. Example 1. The janitor millionaire Housel tells the story of Ronald Red, a janitor and gas station attendant who died with an $8 million fortune. He never made more than minimum wage, but he saved consistently and invested in blue-chip stocks for decades. Meanwhile, Richard Fuscone, a former Merrill Lynch executive with an MBA from Harvard, went bankrupt. The difference? Reed understood that time and consistency beat intelligence and income. Example 2. The 2008 crisis. During the 2008 financial crisis, many smart investors lost everything because they were leveraged or had to sell at the worst possible time. Meanwhile, investors who kept their jobs and had emergency funds were able to buy at historically low prices. The lesson? Cash and stability during crises is often more valuable than trying to maximize returns during good times. Example 3. The Tesla stock story. Imagine two investors who bought Tesla stock. Investor A bought in 2013, planning to hold for 10 years. Investor B bought in 2013, planning to hold for 6 months. When Tesla dropped 60% in 2016, Investor B panicked and sold. Investor A held on because their time horizon allowed them to see volatility as normal. By 2021, Investor A had made 20x their money while Investor B lost 60%. Same stock, different psychology, completely different outcomes. Now let's talk about what this book gets right and where it might fall short. Strengths. First, Housel's storytelling approach makes complex financial concepts incredibly accessible. He doesn't talk down to readers or overwhelm them with jargon. The book is packed with memorable stories that stick with you long after reading. Second, the focus on behavior over tactics is refreshing. Most personal finance tips become outdated, but understanding human psychology is timeless. Third, the book acknowledges that personal finance is personal. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and Housel respects that different strategies work for different people. Limitations. The main criticism is that the book is heavy on philosophy and light on specific action steps. If you're looking for detailed investment strategies or budgeting techniques, you might be disappointed. Some readers might also find the emphasis on luck and randomness discouraging. While it's important to acknowledge these factors, some might argue that it downplays the importance of skill and hard work. Finally, most examples focus on extreme wealth, billionaires, or extreme situations. More middle-class examples would make the lessons even more relatable. Overall assessment. Despite these minor limitations, The Psychology of Money is essential reading for anyone who wants to build wealth. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about understanding why you make the financial decisions you do and how to make better ones. So here's what I want you to take away from The Psychology of Money. Building wealth isn't about intelligence, education, or even income. It's about behavior, patience, and understanding yourself. The most powerful wealth-building tools are boring. Saving consistently, investing for the long term, and not interrupting the compound interest process. But implementing these boring strategies requires mastering the psychology behind them. Start today by defining what enough means for you. Write it down, then focus on increasing your savings rate rather than chasing investment returns. Remember that time in the market beats timing the market, and that room for error is your best friend. Your future self will thank you for developing the right money mindset now, rather than learning these lessons the hard way later. If this summary helped you understand your relationship with money better, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. Should I do more book summaries like this? And if you want to transform your financial future with more content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. What book should I summarize next? Drop your suggestions below, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll continue building your path to financial freedom, one insight at a time. Remember, it's not about being perfect with money. It's about being better than you were yesterday.